All right, what's going on, guys? Simple Sports back again with another episode, and today we are talking more obviously about the NBA playoffs. Today we are talking about the Cavs and Pacers series and the Thunder and the Jazz series. Yes, I know you were dying to know what I thought about it, so here we go. First things I want to talk about is LeBron James. His performance was amazing. I want to set the record straight for a lot of people. Not that this really is going to help, but I'm going to do it anyway. I just want to lay down a few simple facts, okay? So, fact number one, I am a fan of LeBron James, okay? I'm just a critical, honest person. I'm unbiased, or at least I try to portray myself as unbiased. I try to simply give my reaction and my thoughts on what I see and what I think is going to happen, what I think has happened, and whatever the case may be in regards to what I'm talking about. But my point is I try to be as unbiased as possible. It's practically impossible considering you are a sports fan and you have emotions. But nonetheless, I am a fan of LeBron James. I am not a LeBron James hater, fact number two. Fact number three, I did originally pick the Cavs to win the series in 5. Next fact, I have since then changed my mind, stupidly, after game 2. Even though the Pacers lost that game, but I didn't see anything from the Cavs that made me believe that they would win the series or the East. I changed my mind again after game 3, and it looked to me that the Pacers were just letting this thing slip away, which is what I'm going to talk about here in a second. But the Pacers, while they aren't necessarily a bad team, or while the Cavs aren't necessarily a good team, I do believe that they are better than the Pacers. And I should sort of explain that because I believe the Pacers play and have a better team, but I think the Cavs is a good enough team so that LeBron James can make up the difference, right? And last fact, I do believe 100% that the Cavs will not make the NBA Finals, even if and when they come out of this series against the Pacers. Don't think they're making the finals. I think I have seen clearly enough from them to come to that conclusion. Did I jump a little early off the bandwagon as far as the series goes and picking the Pacers? Yes, it was part of what I do, and part of why I believe some of the things that I believe is not necessarily because I think it's the right or wrong thing or the good or bad outcome, but because I like stories and I wanted to see the world react to LeBron James losing to the Pacers in the first round after all the drama this year, after all the people talking about how great he is and so forth and so on. So it wasn't so much that I wanted the Cavs to lose. It was more that I just wanted that story. Same reason why I wanted the Celtics to beat the Cavs. I said that preseason and pretty much all season. I wanted the Celtics and Kyrie Irving to beat the Cavs in the playoffs, so that we could have that storyline. But it wasn't necessarily because I didn't want LeBron James to succeed. Listen, I'm no dummy. LeBron James is obviously an all-time great player, and obviously basketball is better when he is on TV and not out of the playoffs or the finals. But again, the story for me is as intriguing as LeBron James is. So I just wanted to throw that out there. A lot of things that I say is for the story, not necessarily for the player or the team. With that said, now that that's settled, LeBron James was amazing last night. What a performance. He straight up put the team on his back, and there is zero criticism from me from last game. I mean, you can always pick out little things, right? He did turn the ball over at the end, and it almost cost them. But that ball probably wasn't out on him. It is what it is. He followed that up with a great defensive play and then nailed the 3 at the buzzer for the win. So you can't hate on that. He did what he had to do given the moment, given the circumstances, given where they were. Whether the ball went out on him or not, forget about that. The play goes on and you have to play defense. And he did that. And whether it was a goaltender or not, the play has to go on. And he did that. He made the 3. It is what it is. Again, you can nitpick those things, but once you're in the moment and it is what it is, you have to then step up. And that's why I think a lot of people don't like Skip Bayless and some of the things that he says. But I really, really, really love Skip Bayless. And this is why. He doesn't forget that outlook or that perspective where a lot of people will hang on to the fact that, oh, well, LeBron James put up 35 points. Yeah, he did. But in a certain moment he made this mistake or he did this or he did that, and it cost him. And I agree with that philosophy in that you can take into account all the things that someone has done without taking away credit for giving them criticism on a moment, because those moments are the things that matter, right? It's all good. Listen, Tom Brady had a phenomenal Super Bowl. He threw for an all-time record in the playoffs, not just Super Bowl, in the playoffs. But in a moment, he had a lapse. Now, it's not all his fault, obviously, with the fumble against the Eagles. But again, he played a phenomenal game, and in that moment, he fumbled the ball, and it essentially from that point forward cost him the game. And so I think people don't like that idea because it takes away, or at least they think it takes away from the overall performance. And I understand that. I just don't think that is what those people who have that sort of view, I Skip Bayless and others, I don't think that's what they're trying to do. And I think that's where the tension lies with a lot of people. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there in a tangent. That's sort of my philosophy. That's sort of my mindset as well. I don't just look at the overall performance. I like to look at moments. And last night, there were a couple of moments that LeBron James, if things went as bad as they had gone and he did turn the ball over, and let's say Oladipo does get the layup and they do get out of there with a win, it's a bad thing, right? It's going to turn everything that we talked about in the sports world today on its head. Take a look at the Spurs and Heat series, right? LeBron James has a phenomenal comeback, or he helps with the phenomenal comeback. I think they were down 10 points, and he helped bring that game back into within reach. And then all of a sudden, he has 2 or 3 turnovers. So he breaks a couple of threes. And what people will remember from that game, if Ray Allen doesn't hit the shot, is LeBron James flat out gave that game to the Spurs. They just didn't take it. So I think that's where a lot of tension comes from with a lot of people. I just kind of wanted to touch on that. I know that's way off subject from what we were talking about. Whatever, let's get back to it. As I was saying, he came through in a moment. He came through big. You can't hate on that. Big props for that from me. The block, a lot of people think was a goaltend. I think officially, and I think my thought didn't change on this, but the 2-minute report came out saying it should have been a goaltend. And some people are like, oh, well, he hit the 3 anyway. But again, everything from that moment will change because they're down 2 now. So does he take the 3, or does he guarantee himself at least a good shot by going to the rim? You never know. Maybe he doesn't hit the 3, because you have to also take into account the mentality, the mindset at that moment, right? He just turned the ball over, even though if you want to say it was out of Indiana, fine. But regardless, Indiana has the ball off a LeBron James turnover. And if Oladipo makes that shot, you don't know what that's going to do to the mentality of the entire team, let alone LeBron James. And instead, he makes it, which then gives them that little boost of life. You can see how excited they were. Oh, he made it. Quick, call a timeout. They got the rebound. Everyone's jumping up and down, calling timeout. If he nails that shot, you never know how that's going to affect the psyche. So I do think the goaltend is a big deal that they didn't call it. My thing is, if they had called it, I wouldn't have disagreed. But I also don't disagree with them not calling it. It's either way for me. First of all, the play in and of itself was a close play. So you can't necessarily blame the refs. It is what it is. It was a bang-bang play. He laid the ball up. It grazed the backboard. LeBron James blocked it. Is it technically a goaltend? Yes. But it's close. It's playoff basketball. I don't depend on the goaltending call. If you're in that moment, you can't depend on the goaltending call. Just make a play. Oladipo has to know that LeBron James may not be the defender that he used to be, but he is going to, in that moment, sit in that chair for that one possession. He's going to give you what he's got. And that's what he's been saving it for. Everyone always asks and talk about the minutes and all that stuff. And I do agree that the minutes might be a little high for him, especially in year 15. And yes, I know he is producing, but that doesn't take away from what it does to your body. Sure, there's production, but what does it do to your body? It's going to return at some point, okay? It may not return this year. It may not return 3 years from now, but it is going to return. You can't put that kind of wear and tear on your body all year long, year in and year out, and not expect at some point for it to have some return. So I do think it is noteworthy that he's playing a lot of minutes and doing all these things, and he's preserving himself on the defensive end. But last night, when it really, really mattered, he did what he had to do, and you can't take anything from the guy. Oladipo, like I said, he has to know that that's going to be the case. You can't bring that weak layup. No sympathy from me, okay? Oladipo should have made a better play. It's the playoffs, man. Weak side, wrong hand layup for the lead with under 10 seconds to go. I think they got the ball off the rebound with like 3 seconds left, 4 seconds left. And with, say, under 10 seconds, he goes to the hoop against one of the best ever with a weak side, wrong-handed layup. It's just not strong enough against an all-time great player. That's just not going to cut it. And the Pacers had the series by the balls. In games 3 through 5, they should have won all of those games. This series should be over. And in competition and in sports, especially in the playoffs and in tournaments and championship games and things like that, when you got someone down, you have better finish them off. Ask Atlanta, so close to that Super Bowl trophy, but they let New England hang around and made a couple of mistakes, and next thing you know, confetti's falling and it's not for you, right? Pacers had the Cavs on the ropes in games 3, 4, and 5. And they just let them hang around, and now you're down 3-2, and it's going to be really difficult to win 2 straight versus the Cavs. You had your chance, to put this thing to real. I mean, Oladipo had a chance to. It goes back to something I thought about with Marcus Mariota and the Tennessee Titans when they played the Patriots in the playoffs, right? I never believed that they could beat well, let me take that back. I believed they could beat the Patriots. I didn't think that they would. Like, reality to me was they would lose. My heart and my hope was that they would win, obviously. But here's the thing. Think about what that could have done for Mariota's legacy. He's right now, I think, very underrated as a quarterback. Most people see him as anywhere from average to below average, which I don't understand, but it is what it is. And if you go into Foxborough and beat Tom Brady on the road to go to the AFC Championship game, think about what that could do for your legacy going forward. Same thing here with Oladipo. You have LeBron James on the ropes, Game 5, and you have a chance to go up 3-2 going back home with a chance to eliminate the Cavs and LeBron James in the first round as someone who was seen as a second or third tier player, especially last year under Russell Westbrook, to then be almost vaulted into sort of that second, maybe lower first tier, given how good the performance would be. And all that's gone now. Now you're just Victor Oladipo to a lot of people. And, it's unfortunate that it went that way, but that's the way sports works. On in any given moment, it turns on its head like that. And, LeBron James took advantage of it and Oladipo didn't. And it is what it is. It was mano a mano. He got the switch that he wanted. You versus LeBron James. Here we go for the game. And LeBron James came through and Oladipo didn't. That's the way I look at it. All right. So, in addition to that, the Thunder and the Jazz played. And, I've been disappointed in the Thunder. I actually thought they had a realistic chance of going to the finals. I no longer believe that. Russ's legacy almost went into the toilet after Game 3. He made it personal with Ricky Rubio, which is fine. If whatever makes you tick, I really don't care. When I played sports, I was a person who I needed to talk trash. I needed to be physical. I wanted to be dominant and imposing. I wanted to be an alpha, so that part of what I did as a player, because especially in basketball, football not so much. It's a little bit different, but basketball, you can overcome a lot with sort of physicality and athleticism that you can't with skill. Your skill and talent is only going to take you so far. And I don't have a problem, or I don't see an issue with him making it personal. Kobe made it personal. MJ made it. A lot of people make it personal, but you can't let it interfere with how you play. It can't change the way you play. Now, it may elevate the way you play, and it may elevate your mentality. It may make you go into this sort of tunnel vision or, into the zone, as they like to call it. But it can't change or interfere with how you play. And you have to stick within your skill set, within your play style. And he let it interfere with him. He was outplayed by a rookie in Donovan Mitchell, who is awesome. And that's no slight at Mitchell, but no rookie should be outplaying a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year veteran who's considered an all-star, who was just last year the MVP. You can't then let a rookie come in and show you up. He was also outplayed by Ricky Rubio. To me, now it may not speak on the stat sheet, but it speaks in the wins. And, you know, you started hearing the comparisons to players like Marbury and other guys like that who are all world talents, but have the inability to really impact winning. And to have Oladipo playing so well, although he's been sort of regressing in the playoffs, but by and large, he had a great year. He had an outstanding year, actually. Have him playing well. You have Harden carrying a team, probably going to win MVP this year. You have a former MVP and champion in Kevin Durant, and everyone else that's left. Serge Ibaka's doing well. A lot of these guys are doing well, and you are here down 3-1 to the Jazz with your legacy about to go in the tank. And all the people that joined, you know, Paul George and Melo, Steven Adams doesn't look like a solid player, even though I know that he is. But he just looks kind of lost out there. He kind of looks like a better version of like a Zaza Pachulia, where he's just kind of a bruiser, boards, play some good defense, you know, hustle plays, you know, just imposing. It kind of reminds me of myself. I wasn't good at, not saying that he's not good at basketball. I wasn't really good at basketball, but I was athletic and I was physical, and I wasn't scared to get in someone's face and be physical with someone that was bigger than me or that could dribble the ball better than me, because I felt like I could physically intimidate them and things of that nature. And I think that's sort of what he's been reduced to, even though I think he's a lot better than that. And a lot of these, Melo is just, I don't know where his game has gone, at least from a numbers perspective. Him and Paul George, it wasn't going to be a good look if they would have gotten eliminated last night. But Russ responded really well in Game 5 with a huge game. Still took a large volume of shots, 39 shots, 17 for 39. Shot well from 3, which is surprising because he's not a good 3-point shooter, even though he took 9 of them. He made 5. It's an anomaly for him because he's not a good 3-point shooter. He has the worst 3-point shooting percentage in the league, I believe, for a qualified number of shots. It won them the game, but I doubt that's going to win them the series. Utah is in a similar situation with the Pacers. They had their foot on the Thunder's throat, had them down 3-1. Now they're down 3-2, and they've already slipped once, giving away that game. If they lose the next game, I don't see them going to OKC and winning a Game 7. And that's sort of what I mean. Like, you can't let these teams hang around. You have them down, finish them off, get to the next series, get to the next round, get to the next game. So they had better close this thing out in 6, or they will likely be in trouble. They're likely going home. I don't see them winning back in OKC for Game 7. Now, you can say what you want, but they get that thing to Game 7. That place is going to be jumping. And that's the last thing you want, is to be on the road with the crowd just pumped beyond belief. It's going to take a Herculean effort for them to win that game if they do let it go to Game 7. So they had better close that thing out in Game 6, or they're going to be in trouble. So that's all I got. I know I kind of went all sorts of different directions. Pretty fired up. But I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.